So a little over 3 weeks ago, Gavin Teasdale officially decommitted. I guess it wouldn't be a decommit, but he was removed from the wrestling team at Penn State. And at that point, there's a lot of consideration as far as where he's going to go from there. Now, just to back up the story, on March 21st of 2017, so this was a little under 2 years ago, he had initially committed to Iowa. No, he committed early. I believe he committed as a sophomore. But when it came time to actually make his firm commitment, he decided to flip from Iowa and go to wrestle for Penn State. And obviously, since then, his time at Penn State hasn't really gone that well for him. He was supposed to wrestle at the Southern Scuffle, and I guess at the end of 2018, I believe, the last week of 2018, didn't wrestle then. There were a couple other times where he was rumored to be wrestling for Penn State, didn't wrestle then either. And then eventually, Cale Sanderson announced that he was off the team. So now the question remains: where's he going to go next? In the time between March of 2017 and now, the spots that Iowa has in the lighter weight seem to be filled up. So obviously Spencer Lee, the national champion, is at 125. At 133, there was a hole where Paul Glenn, who is sort of like a guy who probably sits between like your 15 and 25 range in the rankings. There's a bit of a hole there, looking for a guy who could potentially be a national champion, at least an All-American. It looks like DeSantis filled that hole now. He's number 3 in the nation right now. Has a win over Nick Soriano this year. Has a win over Miocic last year, although obviously in the national championship that didn't go so well for him. But it looks like he's got that spot locked up at 141. You have Murin. You could potentially have Renteria, who decommitted and then recommitted to Iowa. So it's not clear where he's going to fit in. But apparently he's still interested in Iowa. So this was a tweet that was put up by Willie Saylor from Flow today. Says a source told me that Teasdale's visiting Iowa this week. Makes him happy. Really loves Gavin as a person and thinks that Tom and Terry is a perfect recipe for him. And apparently some fans who were there took some pictures of who apparently would be Gavin Teasdale. So they're saying that this guy right here, now it's a pretty grainy picture. It's kind of hard to tell. Like when you really zoom in, the guy in the middle right here is supposed to be Gavin. Now, I couldn't confirm that these faces are so blurry. It's hard to say that that's Gavin, but it seems like a lot of people are pointing at that and saying that that's proof that Gavin Teasdale was at the Iowa meet against Indiana. A meet that Iowa ended up winning, I believe, 37-9. Funny enough, the 141 pounder Max Murin lost to an unranked wrestler and got pinned. So if the thought would be that Teasdale is too big for 25, then he'd either be at 33 or 41. Murin getting pinned, maybe not the best look for him, and maybe it gives Teasdale hope that there's a spot for him at 41 if he can put on some weight in the next year or so, or put on some muscle. But I don't know what his plan is. There's another picture that was put on this thread too that I just want to show. This one I think is a picture from the Jumbotron. I'm not sure exactly where that came from. But again, Teasdale, I believe, would be this guy right here. So I'll just take their word for it. I'll say that if all these people are posting pictures and Willie Saylor is saying that Gavin Teasdale is visiting, that it actually is Teasdale, that he is visiting Iowa right now. And as I mentioned before, what's interesting about this is that it's tough to tell what Teasdale wants. I'm not sure what his major is as a freshman, even if he had a major declared at Penn State. Oftentimes when you start taking your prereqs, you decide that you want to do something else, whether it's because you don't like what you initially wanted to do, or during your prereqs when you take some gen ed classes, you might find that something else is more interesting to you. So if he's looking for something that takes a longer time to get a degree, then the thought of him redshirting, I don't think this year's going to count against him because he didn't wrestle. So the thought of him redshirting next year and then coming in when Spencer's already a senior, and I believe DeSantis will be a senior too. That means he's going to be spending some extra time in college. So if he's going for an advanced degree, that's fine. If he's looking for just a 4-year degree, maybe that's not in his plan. Maybe he wants to get on the mat next year already. If that's the case, do I think he's going to make this team at 25? Obviously not. Spencer Lee's got that position locked down. Do I see him beating out DeSanto at 33? No. And even if he could, I don't know how much better he could really perform than DeSanto. If you look at what DeSanto's doing right now, and obviously once we get to the national tournament, that could change a lot. But DeSanto being number 3 in the nation, there's not a whole lot of room for improvement there, especially since he's putting up bonus points in a lot of his matches too. At 41, Max Murin's been a bit of a disappointment this year. There's also Vince Turk lurking around. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jason Renteria. He was at 133, qualified for nationals last year for Nebraska, and then missed weight. So it seems like 41 is probably going to be a weight that makes sense for him. So if you're Gavin Teasdale and you're looking at 33 or 41, you're looking at either beating out Austin DeSanto or beating out any number of people, including Vince Turk, Max Murin, and Renteria for that 41 spot. So that'll be a tough spot for him to get into the lineup. So if you're Gavin Teasdale and your main goal right now is just to get in the lineup and wrestle as many matches as possible, I don't think Iowa's the best fit. If your goal is to be the best possible wrestler you can be, Iowa might be the best fit because of the room that they have for the lighter weight guys. So if you're Gavin Teasdale and you end up going to Iowa, the room that you're going to be dealing with is you've got Tom and Terry Brands as your coaches. You have Thomas Gilman from the Hawkeye Wrestling Club you can work with. You got Dardanes you can work with. You have Spencer Lee obviously on the team. You have all the guys I just mentioned before. So Austin DeSanto, Vince Turk, I guess Carter Happel kind of fits in there too, and then also Max Murin. So a lot of good guys to work with. The thing that kind of bugs me about wrestling as a whole, though, and this is a separate issue. This is probably like a whole rant video that I might have to make closer to the time of Olympics that I absolutely hate about wrestling, is that in wrestling, instead of them just saying, okay, hey, we're going to do a tournament and say the 100 best guys in the world or the 64 best guys in the world can go out and compete, it always seems to be based off of country. So it's only one guy from America, one guy from this country, one guy from that country. And as a result, even taking the approach, if I want to get as good as possible at wrestling, it's not the best approach because in the sport, you have to be the best guy in the country if you're going to compete in any major tournaments. And I don't see Gavin Teasdale getting to the point where he's going to be the best guy in the country at 57, at 61, 65. So for him, if you're being realistic, you probably want to just make it so you're going to have the best chance to succeed in the lineup at a major college. And I don't know that I was the best fit in that instance for him. And it's also interesting. One of the things that I was reading up on him why he left Penn State, it seems like he was probably healthy enough to wrestle, but I get the feeling that he probably wasn't able to make 25. And at 33, Roman Bravo Young, who right now isn't even a top 10 guy at 133, beat him out for that spot. So if you're not beating out RBY, if you're not beating out a guy who's outside the top 10 at Penn State, you're not going to be. I just don't see how he's going to be able to beat out a guy like Austin DeSanto, let alone move up a weight class. And when you move up a weight class, you got in Vince Turk, and Vince Turk has been ranked for quite a while, and he had a couple wins at NCAA's last year. Max Muir was ranked for pretty much all this season. I think he might still be ranked after getting pinned against Indiana, but he's been ranked all year. So to move up a weight from where he's at right now and try to beat out a guy who's ranked at that weight class to get in the lineup, I don't see it happening for him right now. So it all depends what he's looking for. If you're looking for the long run, if you're willing to take a redshirt year, let some of these guys burn off some of their eligibility and look to get in the lineup later on, Iowa can work for you. If you just want to be the best wrestler possible, whether that means you're in the lineup for all 4 years of your eligibility or not, Iowa's a great option. But if you want to maximize your eligibility, get as many matches as possible, don't know that Iowa's the best option for him. But it's still interesting to see the different places he's looking at right now. And once he makes his choice, I'll obviously put up another video then and let you know where he goes.